you guys today?
Doing pretty good, Jay.
I'm good, man. I got this little sickness that you guys had the last couple of
Oh,
weeks, so I think I caught it off you guys. But I'm good, and power through this, and lots to
good.
talk about. So let's roll.
So it must be because he's in that good of a can't
Yeah,
fight it off, right?
exactly,
Of course.
exactly.
As two big guys sitting here with
Oh
a little
yeah,
scrawny Michael
yeah, I
beside you,
know.
right?
A strong muscle out, eh? Just a muscle.
So first things first, I didn't even have a chance to make it, but Tony, talk a little bit about the Sioux Greyhounds development camp for this year.
Yeah, it was awesome. I went and checked out a couple of the scrimmages, and a couple players who did some good things. Some draft picks out there that I really caught my eye on me. But there were a couple kids, and Hayes, the second round pick this year for the Greyhounds. He looked pretty good out there. He can skate. He was much quicker than I thought he was. Kind of liked what he had to bring to the table. But the story of camp is Brady Martin. My goodness, guys, I'm telling you, I have not been this excited for a from the Greyhounds or a hockey player in the last 10 years. This kid, the fact camp, he was dominant in this camp. And I thought, wait, I'm starting the hype train on this kid right now. And and let's ride.
And I just, I know Gretzky only played 1 year. Just NHL and the greatest hockey
Yes.
player to ever live. So to make that Tony means is
I,
Brady Martin will play because of longevity. He will be the best Greyhound ever, not talent wise.
I
We
just
all know
told you that. I
Gretzky's
just
better.
told you that. I didn't even say it on here. We were talking pre-show.
Yeah, but you were gonna say
I
it. You were gonna say it.
I have a bold prediction after one skills camp. That's why this is a bold prediction that this kid could go down as a top 10 Greyhound to ever live and to ever play for this team. I really mean that.
So,
This kid is
so when
unbelievable.
Michael comes back from his first year at school down south,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to back that up.
I hope so. I honestly think so, man. Like I love the way this kid plays. He's awesome. Yeah. Let's start. We got to get him on the show. Like honestly, like we got to start
You
this.
got.
Yeah.
Can you keep in contact with him? You got any contact?
I don't know. We'll reach out to the Greyhounds and see if
We'll see if Jerry Linsky
yeah,
can
Yeah.
can pull
answer
some
us.
strings for us because that'd be great. Yeah. So
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
So next, just like to touch base, Sioux U18 Greyhounds. I just finished a interview with Sean Gagnon. That'll be up tomorrow, but he's the new coaching for the U18s, taking over for Jamie Henderson. Totally different culture. It seems like it's going to be there, going into next year, and he's got some people that he's bringing on. That's going to be huge, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you have a ton of NHL experience, right, on that coaching staff. Ken Belanger is playing or coaching as well. Um, yeah, they have a coaching staff that has a ton of experience, and you're totally right. It's going to be a little bit of a different culture change. It'll kind of be interesting to see how they do and how they develop players because
And not saying Jamie hasn't done a good job
no,
with the
that I
players.
was that's
Nine
my
draft picks this year,
that's
right?
exactly my point. That's what I was going to say. You know, Coach Henderson, you hear some of the criticisms and then you hear a lot of the positives, but you can't take away from the fact that the guy produced 9 OHL draft picks. I mean, how much more can you accomplish, right? Good for him. He deserves all the credit in the world,
Exactly.
and congratulations, and look forward to what he's going to do. With whatever team he's going to go and take over next. I know there's some rumors and stuff out there about where he's going to go, but he'll have a successful career
Where do
wherever
you
he
think he's
goes.
gonna go, Tony?
We'll see. I'm gonna keep the sources quiet for now,
Okay.
and then
All
we'll
right.
kind of wait and see what happens. But there
Okay.
is some talk, as I know you've heard too, AJ.
And that's where, like, say, the last one about local sports right now, Sioux Thunderbirds.
Mhm.
Three of Jamie's players, Caleb McCauley, Harley Wardell, and Jacob Smith, just signed yesterday to the Thunderbirds. So another three. That's 12 players out of one roster that are
Yeah, congratulations to those guys. We watched them play quite a bit this year. Awesome job. They deserve it, and don't be surprised if one of those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys pulls a scholarship out of this. They're good hockey players.
and we're going to get more in the national sports now, and that's more you guys. And I know usually the NHL is at the last, but I did buy a box of Kleenex for him, Michael, for the Leafs. So I just don't know. But the other thing we're going to really touch on is He's got a big smile on his face. I think we know
Well,
that
that-
because
I
of
left my
Chicago.
hat
eh?
Let's see
in
the
the-
bottom.
I left my hat near in the truck. So okay, we'll talk about that
We'll talk
last.
about this last.
Sounds good.
NHL
Sounds
always
good.
last.
All right. We'll
So,
finish.
so
with-
go ahead, Michael.
We'll start off a
That'll
little
be
bit
the
of
teaser.
NFL news. Everyone who's been watching the NFL knows that Patrick Mahomes' family is a little bit, I don't even know a polite word to use, delusional, crazy. Jackson Mahomes has been arrested officially for assault on a bartender.
Alleged assault on a bartender. He
There
hasn't
was
been
a
found.
video of it.
Yeah,
It
but he
was assault.
I know, but allegedly
Okay.
because he hasn't been found guilty of
Allegedly,
anything
okay,
yet. So
alleged.
it's allegedly.
Alleged assault.
yeah.
I would say, it is a bit surprising. I'm not sure if he was intoxicated or not. I'm not sure what
Probably.
was going through his mind. That occurred back in February, on February of this year, and yeah, it's very surprising. So, Tony, do you think it's time to, cut Jackson Mahomes out now? Over the last couple of years, he's done some really questionable things, from the TikTok videos to
Yeah.
dancing on Sean Taylor's memorial, and now alleged assault towards a bartender. Is it just time for Mahomes to get rid of him?
Patrick Mahomes is in a bit of an anomaly for me. There's not a player on earth who I actually love as a player. I love Patrick Mahomes as a player. I think he's a great dude.
Yep.
I like Patrick Mahomes. However,
His
you know,
family's a different
his family's
story.
a bit of a different
Oh, for
story,
sure.
from the issues with his wife spraying champagne on, fans one
That was
game
2
and,
years ago. She
and
was
things like that.
he was a
Yeah.
bit quieter last year, so I gained
Yeah.
a little bit of a respect
Well,
for
he
her.
became a mom too, right? Had a couple kids.
Jackson never changed.
Yeah,
Irresponsible.
I agree. So you know what? We'll let the legal process play out. But Jackson Mahomes kind of, he's brought a lot of this on his own, right? And we talked in the pre-show about how many other athletes that we know, or even friends of ours, who have just held on to people in our lives or held on to negative influences in our lives for too long, dragging us down a bit, right? Now, I think Patrick Mahomes is at another level where I don't think it matters. Jackson Mahomes can never drag him down,
Speaking
but
of
it's just about that's got to play on his mind a little bit too,
So
right?
speaking of Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs are expected to
Yeah.
restructure his contract, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. So currently the highest paid player, I believe, is Aaron Rodgers at $51 million a year. Is it Lamar Jackson?
I thought it was Lamar Jackson now
Okay.
at 52.
We're talking about
Yeah.
52. Holmes is on a completely different level than Lamar Jackson. Are we thinking in upwards of $60 million per year?
It's got to be, right? I mean, it has
I
to
would
be.
think
I mean,
so, yeah.
if I'm Patrick Mahomes' agent, I'm signing 2 or 3 year deals, right? Because,
Yeah.
you know
It's
what?
going to increase every
Yeah,
salary
and I
cap.
know he
It's
could
just-
go down, but I know he could get hurt at any moment. But keep in mind, we've talked about this before. In 3 years, when that Amazon deal kicks in, that salary cap is going to skyrocket.
Absolutely.
It's going to
You're
go
gonna
up.
be looking at guys getting $100 million
Oh.
a year.
Yeah, it's going to be close to it, 100%.
so.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
in our lifetime, I bet you'll see a deal like that for sure.
So there's been actually a lot of crime news in the NFL this week. We've got 2 other cases. So coming up next, former NFL player Antonio Brown hasn't paid the players and employees of his arena football team. Yeah, I don't even think of this as a surprise. I didn't know he owned an arena football team, but it's not much of a surprise that he's not paying, anyone that works for
So-
him, right?
Are you telling me that you don't like Antonio Brown?
Is that what you implied?
Is that what you're saying right
You're
now?
absolutely correct. I don't like Antonio Brown.
Perfect. I heard an interview. I love that you just said that. So I heard an interview last week on NFL Network with your boy, DJ Metcalf, the most overrated receiver in football. And DJ Metcalf came out and was asked by the host, who is the greatest wide receiver to ever play the game of football? And DJ Metcalf said Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver to ever play.
Now, Tony, I don't know what's going through your mind right now. It might be the sickness.
That's what he said.
Does this have to do with his NFL career?
The point is,
Answer the question. It's a yes or no question.
well, yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
This did not occur in the NFL.
Yes, we know that happened. I want your
Antonio
take.
Brown is a great wide receiver.
I want
He
your
was.
take on DJ Metcalf claiming that Antonio Brown was the greatest wide receiver to
You
ever
want my
play.
opinion? They're going to say his name right.
DJ Metcalf.
Say it. Say it, or you don't get the opinion, Tony.
No, what is it? Let's go.
No, you're going to say it.
Say what?
What's his full name?
I have no idea.
It goes D, then
I have no idea.
Okay. Casual NFL fan right here.
All right, fair enough.
And in our last crime news of the week, Henry Ruggs has officially been sentenced to between 3 and 10 years in prison for killing a woman, I believe, a
Yeah.
couple years ago. He hit her in Las Vegas on the Strip. I think
Yeah.
didn't on the Strip.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere. It was definitely in Vegas. Yeah.
Very
Or
unfortunate.
I thought it
event.
was in Vegas or LA. Yeah.
Driving 156 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Miles per hour.
Yeah.
Irresponsible and just a very tragic
Yeah.
event. He absolutely deserves these years in jail.
By the way, thanks for telling me I'm right without telling me I'm right. But anyway, no, about this though. Sorry, Jay, quickly. This is a tragic event. So the prosecution, there was, once he pleaded, the original talk last week was that he was going to get 6 to 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
That was kind of what the expectation was. So to hear that they reduced it to 3 years in prison, 3 to 10, you have to think
He's gonna
he's going to
get-
be on the lower end. I really do believe that. So my question to you, because I've been thinking about this, kid's only what? He's 22, 23 years old. Are we going to see him play in the NFL again?
I get that the NFL is a business. I absolutely get that, but you don't reward that type of behavior. That's, usually after Mike Vick was found guilty. Did he
came
play?
back. Yeah, well, he
came
served
back.
he served prison time.
That
and
was
came
also
back.
20 years ago when the world
Yeah.
was a lot, better. But
Not different.
Yeah.
lot different. I don't think any team with all the social media controversy stuff like that, I don't think any team is going to want that type of controversy around them if they sign in Henry Ruggs.
So I hear you. I'm a big believer in second chances, right? And people can make good, honest people can make mistakes.
Yeah.
Now, what Ruggs did was horrific. Don't get
Terrible.
me wrong.
Terrible.
If I was that woman's family, I would want him in jail for the rest of my life. I know
Absolutely.
that, right?
Absolutely.
So it's difficult to kind of sit here as just two guys talking or three guys talking about this. But you know what? If Ruggs does his time, if he works hard, and if he wants to make himself better, the guy could be 27 years old, realistically 28 years old, coming out of jail. He could have a career potentially if he wanted to, or if the opportunity was there. I think he might get one more chance if he gets out before he's 28.
I feel like he would need time to build his body back up to the NFL level.
Well, what else is he going to do in there?
Pardon?
I mean, that's all he's going to do in
I
jail,
think that
right?
a
Is
more
just work out.
realistic option would be the CFL. The US.
Yeah.
Can you play in the USFL at that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the NFL is going to introduce him back. XFL, CFL, USFL, one of those leagues we could, potentially see Ruggs in a couple of years.
He probably wouldn't be able to come to Canada either, though. Sorry. So he's 24 right now.
But is that image really helping the CFL though?
I know.
Well, the XFL doesn't care about their players. They got Josh Gordon welcomely in there. So
No, the question I have before you get away from you're talking about the crime of the sports. What don't these, and I don't want to say just men because we're talking NFL, but any sport realize that they're role models. Like, don't they? A lot of the stuff trickles from when they were in high school.
they see money, they don't care. A lot of them, and younger players are more prone to making stupid mistakes like that because they just haven't learned the knowledge. That's not always the case because Antonio Brown.
Well, you're talking with somebody who's in their 40s and somebody who's in their 50s, and with you being a teenager.
Yeah.
Don't you think the league should be doing something about this?
No.
Yeah,
When I'm
you talk about role models.
investing billions of dollars.
I know. You're talking
the
about role models, so I'm thinking like load management in a sense, right? And I saw a quote today from, or it was actually from Kobe Bryant's funeral, I believe it was, when Kobe Bryant's wife got up and she gave a speech about why did Kobe try and play it? He did everything he could to play every game, right? Why did
I saw that too.
Yeah, why did Kobe, you could barely walk. Why are you going out there and trying to play in every game? And his response was, he knows that people were paying big money to watch him play. And he remembers what it was like when he was a kid and his parents got him 300 level seats so he could come in and watch his favorite player.
MJ or Michael Jackson, Johnson,
or who it was.
Yep.
So to your point, I think you're both correct in the fact that people, players don't think like that anymore, right? The money blinds them. That's what they want, especially in the NBA. They're making ridiculous money for minimum work. Yeah.
All the soccer
And
players.
and I do think that the money thing is a big issue. And that's why I don't know. It's really tough. It's a tough one. But yeah, I think they realize their role models, and I think most of them realize their role models. I just think it's one of those situations where a few bad apples kind of spoil it for the group.
Exactly.
So this news would have applied, I guess, a bit better last week, but it came out after the draft, so we couldn't talk about it. The Titans reportedly tried to move up to pick 3 to draft C.J. Stroud. This is probably what was reported with the DeAndre Hopkins deal. The Titans and the Cardinals were discussing something. What do you think the full trade would have entailed? Because if the Titans were going to get D-Hop and the 3rd overall pick, they surely had to be giving up a lot, right?
Yeah, I never even heard that, so I'm not even sure. I mean, they would have to be giving up 3 first-round picks. You'd have to think 3
What
or
about
4 plus Henry, maybe Derrick Henry throwing
Yeah,
in the
but
deal.
get D-Hop and to give up Derrick Henry, is that really worth it?
Nah. Well, I mean, yeah, because you do have some other good running backs back there for the Titans. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
So I want to touch on this too, because I thought this was interesting and I want to get your opinion on this, Tony. So Arthur Smith, who is the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, reportedly told one of the top offensive lineman prospects, Peter Skoronski, that his answers were boring and that he didn't want to draft him because of it.
Isn't Arthur Smith an owner?
Arthur Smith is
Or is the head coach?
He's the head coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was the owner.
So
There's got to be an Arthur Smith that's an owner somewhere.
is that a valid?
Anyway.
But is that a valid reason not to draft a player? Because I think Skoronski's going to be good.
But sorry to interrupt. From a management side, and that's where I mostly come from, I agree. It shows the type of character he is.
Yeah,
Tommy?
I mean, it does show character, but sometimes, so I'm just thinking about some of the Lions guys that we've drafted over the years, like we have like Frank Ragnow, who's the best center in football.
Awesome. Love him.
Like, guys like that who didn't have the biggest personalities and things like that too, to your point. And just because you don't talk with your mouth doesn't mean your play doesn't
Even-
do the talking for you,
They
right?
haven't played in the NFL yet. You got to expect them to be a little bit nervous.
I know. Like, I think those interview things are ridiculous.
When you're
anyway.
Atlanta, I mean, can you really be that
Yeah.
picky?
Yeah, I know.
A
I
lot of
agree.
times, again, I go back on what do I say also, sometimes your performance changes minds, right?
Yeah, and those combine questions are just, I mean,
Some of them are
some
dumb.
of them are ridiculous, right? Like, just they cross the line. Yeah.
So in terms of the NBA, a situation that could have been bigger than it actually was, Nikola Jokic somehow ended up in the stands, I believe, in Game 3 of the Suns versus Nuggets series, and he reportedly pushed Suns owner Matt Ishiba. Now, being very classy, Ishiba basically addressed the media, and I, to be honest, I don't remember what he said, but I know it wasn't anything bad. He was like, "I respect Jokic. It wasn't a big deal." Jokic was fined for the incident, but he was not suspended. What do you think of this incident?
I like it. I have no problem with anything that happened.
I think
NBA
Shiba handled it.
Me too. I mean, listen, the NBA, I used to go to NBA games all the time, man, back in
Just not like
Detroit.
it was.
I know, like back when the Pistons were good, I'd go to 10 Pistons games a year, right? And the thing about basketball,
You
that's
can
where, like,
remember that far back, Tony?
barely the Malice at the Palace, like
I
those types
watched a
of events.
documentary on that the other day.
Yeah.
The guys were
Oh
so
yeah,
passionate. Even
Yeah.
Ron Artest.
Yeah.
Like they
but
wanted it.
that's my point. I'm surprised that fan player interaction doesn't happen more in the NBA. I mean,
Well,
like, realistically, I'm sitting right here, and like LeBron James could be throwing a basketball right here, and I could be chirping and saying whatever the hell I want.
And sitting on your lap when
did
you
you
go
did
to
you
the
see
balance,
Cleveland
right?
sued Bradley Beal because Beal tipped his hat off?
No.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. I think he sued
Oh.
him for a couple $100,000.
Yeah, like things like that. Like, it's the NBA, right? I love it, and that's what. Sorry, I generally don't like the NBA, but I've loved the playoffs because you actually don't know who's going to win. It's actually been suspenseful, right? Yeah, I don't really want to talk much about the Lakers because the Lakers, and nobody likes. If you like
I don't
LeBron
like the
James,
Lakers, no. Big MJ guy here. No, I don't like LeBron.
me neither. Golden
So
State's going to come back and win that series.
moving to the NHL now, the New York Rangers have fired head coach Gerard Gallant after just one season with the team. Gallant was a great coach in Vegas. I mean, he even with a stacked roster,
He'll
them
be
to
back,
some good
though.
records. Why would they fire him? Don't get
I
past the
was
first
gonna-
round 1
I was
year.
going to ask you this too. We need to bring someone on who knows more about, like, some of the insides and outsides of the NHL.
Yeah.
Because Gerard Gallant, I mean, what more does the guy need to do to keep a job? Like, look what he did in Vegas. He brought Vegas to the Stanley Cup Finals.
The second year?
This his like second year or
See-
first year in the no, it was early. It was like
Yeah.
yeah, maybe second year.
Here's what's starting to happen now in sports. If a coach doesn't take a team that could contend to pass the first round, you're gone.
Yeah, NBA.
4 of the last 5
Yeah.
NBA Finals champions head coaches are gone. Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer, Ty Lue?
I forget I don't know who the other ones are, but I know the
I know
4 of the
four-
last
four of the
5
last-
championship.
So that means
winners.
Sheldon Keith's gone after tonight then.
Okay, that's our next thing we're going to talk about.
All right.
So, round 2 NHL results. So I got here late, so I didn't really have time to modify this Leafs jersey and
Yeah.
put any shit on it. We're down 3-0, and we're playing Florida tonight, and we're not going to win. Well, you know what? Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
So you have a funeral to go to tomorrow.
You know what? Toronto is not a team that gets swept, and I'm not saying that they're going to win. I'm not delusional, but if they can somehow pull this game off tonight, which to be honest, I see because as still being reasonable, I do think that they will win the next game and lose in 6. Toronto is just too good to get swept. And I get how good Florida's playing right now. And I absolutely think that they will win the series. But Toronto has enough heart, which they almost never do, to win a game. And then once they win that game, they're going home. They can win that game too. And I think that Toronto will lose 4-2.
But in my opinion, the heart is not in their top players.
No.
Their top players aren't the ones
I
with
don't
the
want to
heart.
talk about those.
So not only that, but this is the point. So I've been reading and trying to figure out.
Oh, he reads.
I've been reading articles. I've been doing everything. I've been listening to NHL radio and doing all this stuff, trying to figure out what is actually wrong with the Leafs. And someone
Mental.
and
It's all mental,
well,
Tony.
to a degree, yes, but in terms of how the team is structured, okay. And I heard the best thing. I wish I can remember where I heard it because I'd like to give them the credit they deserve for this. But if you look at the past 15 Stanley Cup winners, the past 15 teams that won the Stanley Cup, they have one of two things: an elite goaltender or a defenseman who eats up 30 minutes a night and is impossible to play against, and everyone hates to play against because they're that good.
Was that Hedman for Tampa Bay?
Yeah, like a Hedman, a Cale Makar, like one of those type of defensemen, right? And the Leafs don't have either of those, right? The Leafs have focused on the forward group.
Oh yeah, we have Joseph Wall in net
That's right,
tonight.
rather than the defensive group and the goaltending group.
See, I throw Murray in before Wall.
Okay, Jay. Now listen, I'll touch.
Sorry,
on that.
Tony.
No, that's fine.
Matt Murray, as you know, he played for the Greyhounds, so I have some form of respect for him. Shouldn't be an NHL goaltender. When you have that severe anxiety, get the hell out of the league. Don't come back. Don't try to trick a team. You don't deserve to be in the NHL. If you have anxiety, retire, take the money that you have, and go live your life.
I go the opposite way. I live with anxiety every day, so I know what it's like. I think Matt, what killed
You're not
him.
getting paid millions to play hockey.
No, but I think what killed him is in Pittsburgh when he lost his dad, and that's when his talent.
Yeah.
But nothing against Wall. I think Murray can do a better job than Wall, and I'm not a Leafs fan.
No. Joseph Wall is going. I don't want to say he's going to be like a Kira Schmidt, but if you put Matt Murray in net, he would allow at least 4 goals.
Wall was 6-3 when he played this season for the Leafs too, right?
And he coming in halfway through last game. Let's be honest,
Or
the Anthony
6-2.
Duclair goal was a hard stop.
Oh,
That
he
was
played
a hard
great.
stop.
Yeah.
The overtime
And he wasn't
goal,
expected to
No.
go see the ice.
the overtime goal. Did he have a chance? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
So was it Wall's fault on those 2 goals? I don't think so.
And in terms of the Matt Murray thing, I hear what you're both saying. I'm certainly not going to criticize Matt Murray for what he's going through. I mean, anxiety is a real thing.
In the field you work, the field
That's
you
right,
work
the
in,
field
right?
I work in. And in the one thing that, Mike, and I don't expect you to understand this fully yet because you're young, right? Like you're still growing. I had probably a lot of the same, I did. I had a lot of the same beliefs you had too back when I was your age. The older I get, we all suffer from mental health at one time or another in our lives. And the older you get, the more prevalent it is. And it's not something that's fake. It's not something that's
I absolutely
that's bullshit.
understand.
But 15 years ago,
Yeah, you wouldn't
It
talk
wasn't
about
talked
that. That's
about.
right. But no, but my point is this. Is I'm not sure to what level Matt Murray's anxiety is, but wherever it is, he needs some sort of help, and I hope he gets the help he needs. should he retire or should he go on what's that called where the
Long-term
long-term
IR.
IR or something like that where he still gets his salary but he opens up the money for the Leafs. I think that's a discussion that they can have in the off season because he's still owed what 5.25 million I believe for next year,
And
right? Regardless.
that's one thing I give the MLB credit for. They have over 20 guys on different rosters in the MLB
Yeah.
that aren't playing anymore,
Yeah.
but it's mental health issues or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're still on the rosters because their only reason is to help these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. So I do think that something needs to change with that situation. I completely agree with you there, Mike, that something needs to happen because you cannot have Matt Murray, as a reliable starter or backup, I think, going forward. I think that's your point.
That's what
right?
I meant. I mean, I
Yeah,
might have come off
100%.
a bit harsh,
No, no, no.
but what I'm saying is,
Yes,
he is about the only player with that severe
that's right.
anxiety in the NHL.
Yes.
It's just time to retire.
Yes,
It's
it's
time to
time. It's time where he cannot be relied upon, right? And when you're paying someone 5.2 whatever it is, over 5 million a year, you need that player to be on the ice contributing.
So-
Exactly.
Outside of just the Leafs themselves, I'll be honest, they have played a half decent series so far. I
Yeah.
think they haven't had the heart, but each
Yeah.
game is close.
Yeah,
It's
completely
close.
agree with you.
You know what? They've blown some leads, but it's nothing new.
However, Wes McCauley did
Yep.
ref the
He
last
reffed the
game,
last
And
game,
he was-
but he
yeah,
didn't have an effect.
the lead.
He didn't have an effect.
Hold on, the Florida Panthers
Didn't have a
are
penalty. They-
the most penalized
Yes,
team
I
in the
saw this,
NHL
Tony.
this year.
Yeah,
And guess how many penalties the Florida
a
Panthers
big
had
fat
last game?
zero.
Zero.
No question. The question I
Again,
have,
I'm not saying he did a terrible job, but that happened.
but the question I have is not going back because he's just a greyhound. And I had this conversation
Yeah.
with Sean Gagnon earlier regarding his interview. Is I'm comparing Bunting to a Brad Marchand when it comes not to talent, but he gets under your skin,
Yeah,
right?
I know what
I
you
mean, you being a coach is Bunting took that to the neck and to the back.
Yeah.
If Bunting would have done that to somebody,
Yeah.
he would have had 2 to 3 games.
100%.
Florida, the guy gets 2 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
So
And what I
is that
wanted
a
to ask
problem?
you actually, Mike, it's a huge problem, but to that point, how do you think Bunting has played since he's come back from his suspension? Because I have an opinion on it, but I want to know what yours is.
I watch the Leafs, but I don't know like their numbers, so I can't follow the players individually
Fair enough.
when
Yeah.
they're on the ice.
Yeah.
He hasn't. He's been more scruffy. I feel like
Yeah.
he's made.
He's a rat. He gets under your skin.
He's a rat, but is the rat helping? He's like Dylan Brooks. He's like a bad rat.
I think he's
But I
learned.
feel-
He's learned to do it. He knows when to do
That's
it.
what I'm
now.
saying. I think the suspension was the best thing that could have happened to him as a hockey player
Really?
because I've loved his game since he's come back. He's been playing on the second or third line. He's been doing those little ratty things without crossing the line, right?
For
That's
before
the
his
difference.
suspension, he'd
Whereas
take that dumb
before he was
penalty.
crossing the line, I feel like he's not crossing that line anymore, and he's actually playing decent hockey. Now, I've heard the argument the other way, right? The only reason he was playing where he was because of his ratty, he was that little agitator. But he's doing that in a solid third line role because he's a third line player. And don't play him on the top line like he was for Toronto, right? Play him where he should and let him do his job down there.
So in terms of the other series, Vegas leads 2-1 against the Oilers. They defeated them 5-1 on Monday. I like this series. Even though Vegas leads it, I would never not count Edmonton out at all.
Draisaitl needs 5 more goals to break the all-time playoff goal
Like
scoring record.
Does
and it's like the
Game
second
one,
round.
you get
Yeah.
4 goals and you don't even win the game.
I know.
For one player,
insane.
like-
yeah, so he's got 14 goals in the playoffs so far,
I think it's 16, isn't it?
or 16 he
I think
has
it-
now.
no, I think it's 16. The record is.
Oh, I thought, I know. I thought he needed 5 more goals when he had a 15 point or 15 goals. I don't know. I could be off, but anyway, yeah, he's within five goals of breaking this record, and it's the second round of the playoffs. Man, I refuse to believe that Vegas is any good. I'm taking Edmonton. I really am. I think Edmonton wins this.
It's
They
Series.
win
Vegas
in
because of the
7.
coach.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's in 6. No,
I
I
mean-
just think it's time. I think it's McDavid's time.
Last week I had Vegas in 7. I'd like to change my pick and go Oilers in 7.
Yeah.
So I asked my friend Carter this. I said, would you rather be a Leafs fan, get swept, but every game is close, or would you rather be a Devils fan,
Oh.
lose 4-1, but get killed in every game
Oh.
you lose?
I know. I
And
thought
what
that-
did Carter say?
He said he'd rather be a Leaf fan.
yeah. I've been impressed, man. Carolina is the real
I thought you
deal.
said because they were injured. Oh, they're not gonna be good.
Hey man, they proved me wrong. First time in my life, but it all happens to us
First
all
time.
once.
Okay.
Where we're wrong about something.
First time, maybe first time this month.
Yeah, but
But-
yes, unbelievable job by the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm on the bandwagon. I want Brindamar to get that cup.
Brendan
Yeah,
Moore's one. Yeah,
I
that'd be
know.
nice.
Go Carolina.
Go Dallas. Series
Yeah.
tie 2-2 against Tony Bonifaro's Seattle Kraken. They won 6-3 last night, and even after a Kraken 7-2 win, they were able to bounce back. No surprise there. I still got Dallas in what I say, 7?
Seven.
Dallas in 7.
The Seattle Kraken, every player, every forward on their roster has a goal except for 2 in the playoffs.
Who?
I knew you'd ask that. I don't know who they are.
Eberle?
No. Eberle's leading the team. He has 5, I believe.
Mm.
Excuse me. But yeah, unbelievable job by that's a great series. Good hockey both ways. I can't wait till next week to see who actually wins that series, but go Kraken.
Sure.
And then the next
is that
subject, I have a feeling I know what it's going to be.
All right, one more because I got to get back to work soon.
the NHL draft lottery. I'll go over it in order, but I'll start at pick 16. You spoiled it, Tony. Based on that, we think Seattle got pick 1. Pick 16 goes to Calgary, Nashville, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Arizona from Ottawa, Vancouver, the Blues, the Red Wings, the Capitals, the Flyers, the Coyotes. At 5, the Canadians. At 4, the Sharks. At 3, the Blue Jackets. At 2, the Ducks. And at 1, the Blackhawks. So Tony Bonifaro's
It's not in cement, but what we think we know it's going to be.
second favorite team has the opportunity to draft Connor Bedard. Now, Tony, is there any chance that Chicago doesn't take him?
I know Fandelli. Fandelli, is that his name?
I don't know.
Fandelli. I mean, he's going to be a stud too. But
Oh,
the Stanley
Fantilli.
But the Stanley Cup will go through the city of Chicago
What did you
from the
say?
year
2020?
2028 to 2035. They are going to be unbeatable because they
Who is your
have-
second best
they
player?
don't need one.
Your second best player
He
is
is-
Seth Jones.
He is
Seth Jones.
Connor Bedard is Patrick Mahomes.
Your goalie
You
is
don't need
Your goalie is
anyone
Peter
else.
Mrazek.
Connor
Peter-
Bedard,
Peter
the
Mrazek.
best hockey player to ever lace up
You have
a set of skates.
Toronto's third
You
string
want-
goalie is
you-
better
we
than
don't
Chicago's
need
starter.
Anybody else?
Matt Murray is better than Peter Mrazek.
We have
You're
Bedard. It
delusional.
is over.
That's what people said about
I watched-
Edmonton.
I
Where have
watched
they
that.
gone?
I watched that draft lottery at Icebreakers when we were doing our draft for Sioux Minor football. When they did that and showed the Hawks won, I got up. I practically danced on tables. I think I scared half the restaurant out. It's just unbelievable. You know what? Good things happen to good people, and I deserve this. So there you go.
Tony, listen. In basketball is the only sport where one player can completely change a team.
You've
Not in
clearly.
hockey. Not in hockey.
Did you watch
Even
the World
McDavid.
Juniors? Did you watch the World Juniors?
It's the World Juniors. This is the NHL.
Exactly.
What happened?
And the thing is, now that he's saying the World Juniors, the thing is about the World Juniors, all those kids that are playing at the World Juniors
Yeah.
are going to be playing against Bedard.
Now
Exactly.
listen. What if Bedard has to, he's super tiny, this guy. He's got a small frame. What if he has to fight Tom Wilson or Brad Marchand?
Because he's not gonna fight them.
Yeah, but this kid could get hurt. He's going to be so injury prone.
They said the same thing about McJesus, and McJesus is gonna go down as the second greatest hockey player to ever play
He's going to be better.
behind Connor
Better.
Bedard.
You think Wayne Gretzky?
He'll be the third best by the time it's
See,
all said.
they say that Leafs fans are delusional. There's other original 6 teams that have stupid fans.
Jay, just make sure we tag this so in 10 years when we do this show and Connor
The-
Bedard's
the-
already won 7 cups and won 6 MVP
7
awards,
cups.
then we'll talk.
How illogical is that?
Oh, I love it. Anyway, go Hawks.
Who's your goalie?
Doesn't matter. We got
Doesn't-
Bedard.
You said 5 minutes ago that every Every single
Yeah.
Stanley Cup team is one of two things: an elite defender, which for you
Which
guys,
we have is
it's
Seth Jones.
Seth Jones. No, it's not.
Seth
He
Jones.
sucks.
Can you name 2 other players on the Hawks besides Seth Jones? Exactly my
One
point.
sec.
Anybody?
sec,
Exactly.
Because I
my
looked at
point.
their roster last night.
That's my point. You can have Cale Makar on that team and he would look terrible because he's by himself. Now you have 2 absolute
Boris
studs.
Kachuk and Taylor Radish. There's 2 more right
Yes,
there.
none of those guys.
Yes. Boris Kachuk, I don't think is anymore. I think he
Mike
got
Wilson.
released.
Yeah, no, he's
Oh,
still,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Peter Mrazek.
Yeah, exactly.
Jonathan Tace is not
So
officially.
anyway,
so-
congratulations to my Blackhawks. Well done.
Way to toot your own horn, buddy.
We'll see what happens, but I will. That's why I said they need 3 years because you're right. This roster right now is atrocious. So, but getting the best player to ever play the game is going to be a nice way to start.
You're
the season.
such a. You're like the Boston announcer. You're a homer. Well, last up, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA matchups. Tony, what do you think about some of these so far?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been paying super close attention outside of the Golden State series.
Oh, I know why you've been paying close attention.
Yeah,
though.
give it to the Lakers. You know, give them credit, I guess. Whatever.
Don't give them credit; they're going to blow it. in
I
seven.
hope they do. I Golden State's so fun to watch. They just can't shoot
You
right
say
now.
that because you have money riding on it.
Yes, I do. But they just can't. They just can't help but shoot. Like they just can't shoot this series. Outside of Clay Thompson, I think he went what 3 for 15.
Now listen,
from
they're down
downtown or
3-1.
something,
Now listen
so-
to this. Game 5, they'll win at home. Game 6, Clay. Game 7, Curry's going to go off.
Yeah, I mean,
Warriors in
I
seven.
hope you're right. You know, actually, what I thought was interesting was there was actually talk about LA leaving James and Davis in LA tonight and letting them rest, and they were going to just. And honestly, there was
What is sports
Yeah,
now?
I know.
Why?
that was actually that was a legitimate. Like they're going to play. Like,
LeBron.
they're going to play. They're going to travel. They are going to play. But it was a legitimate discussion being held within the Lakers about them possibly doing.
LeBron, if you want to be the best player ever, have that Kobe mentality, not that
Yeah.
softy mentality.
Yeah,
But in
not,
terms
not
of the other
street
series,
clothes mentality.
the Heat are just unreal.
Yeah,
Oh my Lord, what is going on with this team?
I love it, man. Good for Kyle Lowry. He deserves it. And yeah, Jimmy Butler's fun to watch.
He is.
Um,
I wish he stayed
I
in
believe
Chicago.
did Udalis has Udalis Haslem or whatever his name
Udonis
is.
Haslem.
Is he still there?
Yes. This is last year.
Best gig ever. For those of you that don't know, I don't think he's played a single minute of basketball in the last 8 seasons. He hasn't played a single minute, but he's signed to them as a player because he's like a coach in the dressing room, right?
He hasn't played. I thought he played.
There was a stretch where he literally didn't play a minute of basketball for at least 2 or 3 years. I don't know if it's continued or
Let me get it.
if they gave him
I'll
some
find it
time
right
this
now.
year or what, but yeah,
Uh,
so congratulations to them. I would love to see, you know, a Golden State Miami Heat finals, but you know, as long as the Lakers don't get there, that's all I care about.
no, Udonis Haslem played. Like,
What the heck? He actually no, that's in his career season stats. Yeah,
no,
he did play this
that
year.
was this year in fantasy. Last
Okay.
game of the season, he had 24 points.
Yeah, there was a stretch where he didn't play for a couple years though. Like absolutely, he didn't play a single minute.
So in terms of the other two series, I am at awe that the Sixers beat the Celtics last night in Boston. They now lead 3-2 with a 115-103 win last night, but I still think Boston's going to come back and win that series. Denver and Phoenix, just for the sake of a small market like Denver, I really, really hope that they beat Phoenix. They're up 3-2. I really hope that they can close it. And with Jokic, I think it's absolutely possible. They'll have a shot to do that tomorrow. 10 o'clock they play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be good to see. And whoever stats you were looking up were not. I don't think they were totally accurate, but you
That's
were
on
close.
ESPN Fantasy. I'm pretty sure they're accurate.
No, ESPN sucks.
You're on ESPN right now.
I know. Yeah, see right here. He didn't play a single minute
Yes.
in 2016, 17. He played 4 minutes in 2019 and 20, 1 minute in 2000. Yeah, see, he has barely played. That's great, though. Good for him. Anyway, all right. Enough talk about Haslem because he's brutal.
All right. Well,
Anyway, I'm done with basketball. Let's just go on to next week, guys. We got a lot to talk
Just
about.
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt before we end the show. Michael, you want to talk about the big interview you have tomorrow so people
That's
know?
yeah.
yes. Tomorrow at 12:30, I will be interviewing the lead baseball writer from The Score. His name's Tom Rumensky. I'm really excited. He's really excited. We're gonna have a great talk a lot of baseball. It's gonna be about a 30-minute interview. If you guys are interested, tune in. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I believe his job title's changed. I think he's the elite editor there now too, who also
Yeah.
writes some articles. But for then Tom, Jay and I had the pleasure of interviewing Tom a couple years ago. This guy is in every game. He knows everything there is to know about baseball. If you're a Jays fan, tune into this. This is going to be a great interview. I've seen some of the questions that Mike has set up, and I'm looking forward to watching it. I think it's going to be real fun. And so tune in to see Tom tomorrow. And yeah, that'll be great. Looking forward to it, man. You'll
Yeah.
do great.
Thank you very much.